Today we are checking out Gen Z Isn't Having Kids by Where's Dave. Put in the comments if you want to have kids, or if you have kids already. I want to see something. If you want them, if you don't want them, if you have them, don't have them. I'm trying to see what's going on. Me, myself, I don't have no kids, and I'm a millennial. Let's go ahead and get into the video.
The other day I woke up to two things. One, Drake's OVO meal being sold out every location I went to, despite it being out for 3 days. Two, the realization that our generation might be one of the first to not be concerned about having kids at all. When I was younger, the idea of not wanting kids used to sound crazy. I mean, all the older people around me seemed to start having them hella early. Until I realized I'm now approaching the same age they started at, only to look around and notice everyone around me could care less. Since the beginning of time, humans reproducing has always been one of life's end goals. It's one of the reasons why we're here today. We've always had this innate desire to keep our species going generation after generation. If you were to go back 20, 50, and 100 years ago, you'll quickly notice two things. One, how big families actually were back then. Two, how young people were when starting them. During the ancient times, it was normal for most people.
Y'all got them grandmas that was like one out of like 16 kids. I got a few. Well, I had a few.
To be starting families before they even turned 18. For baby boomers, the average time frame to be having kids was around 21 to 25. In other words, they're early to mid 20s. But when you fast forward to today's time, fuck no. The thought of people having kids in our generation is hardly ever there, and even when it is, it's quickly shut down or postponed for the same reasons every damn time. I'll never forget this one time I went out for lunch with a few of my colleagues. Now, one of them specifically was on the slightly older side of Gen Z, as he was born in '98. And as conversation was flowing during our lunch break, I just couldn't help but ask him, "Yo bro, you ever think about, like, wanting kids? I mean, society says you're now at that age to be..."
Hell no.
Oh, my fault. Why not?
They're too expensive. I can't afford it.
And at the time, I thought to myself, what the hell is this guy on about, bruh? I mean, imagine saying another human being simply costs too much to have. And then I thought just a little bit more and eventually realized how expensive having children actually is. Despite how beautiful having kids may seem, you know, you'd be bringing in new life, start experiencing new beginnings. You'd have a little version of you and your partner running around. But do the expenses start to add up quickly? Because you ain't just responsible for you and your partner's expenses no more. You now have to factor in your child too. I'm talking, if you were to have a child in today's time, like right now, as soon as that nigga makes it out the womb, you now have to get them diapers, pacifiers, baby food, bibs, cribs, the list goes on and on. Fast forward a few more years, it's time for little bro to start school, which means you now need school clothes, school supplies, books, snacks, and money for field trips, and when they're not at school but instead at the crib, they'll probably want some entertainment. Toys, action figures, puzzle pieces, or Lego sets, or maybe they don't want to be in the crib. So here come the extracurriculars. Sports teams, dance classes, or some musical lessons. A couple years later, your kid is now entering their adolescence, so here comes the wants for nicer clothes, nicer shoes, more electronics, probably a phone to get a hold of you, and hopefully some bitches as well. And then eventually it's time for them to go to a university or a college. And don't even ask me where the hell you're getting the money for that. I have no idea where that's coming from. When you take all these things into consideration, it don't take long to realize how expensive having a child actually is. Not to mention, this is just for one kid. That's it, one kid. And a lot of us have siblings. So you now have to multiply this amount by however many kids you end up having, and then place that amount on top of your current expenses. And in today's time, niggas could barely even afford themselves. It's not just financial reasons as to why our generation isn't really focused on kids. Nowadays, it seems like people are starting to consider multiple factors before starting families, compared to the niggas before us who seem to just start popping babies because society told them to.
Most of my hesitation on kids is beyond just the financials. Even though the financial is a big aspect of that, it costs a lot and people aren't really making more than they used to. But let's see what he's getting on with this.
Studies show that 69% of couples who had a kid before they got married were already split up before the kid even turned 15. So it ain't a surprise that most people would prefer being married before actually having children, but that now involves actually finding someone you like, that likes you back, then falling in love, while staying committed to each other for an extremely long time. I'm sure we're all more than aware of modern relationships, which is why I ain't even surprised hella people tapped out a while ago and couldn't care for serious ones anymore. Every now and then I'll come across some form of a video of people in our generation having a different reason as to why they don't want to have children. Some people are selfish.
so I wouldn't have no kids. Niggas get mad when I say this, but at least I'm honest. Cause right now, if it's between me and them, I'ma choose me every time.
Some don't want to deal with the stress.
I don't want to deal with the stress of raising a child, right? Because it's stressful. You're less free.
Some hate the sound of them crying 24/7.
I can't lie. I think I can handle this a little better than a lot of people. Like kids crying in the background and stuff. I can tune it out pretty well. I'm not saying I'd neglect them if they need some help, but if they just crying, acting a fool, throwing a tantrum, I could tune it out pretty well. I'm pretty good at tuning sounds out. Unless I'm trying to sleep and it's a constant like knocking or something, that'll get me.
Some people still feel like they're kids themselves. And if we decide to take a step back and look at this concept through a different lens, some women now seem opposed to the idea of even having a person develop inside of them.
The thought of there being a parasite-like thing growing and living inside of me.
Others claim they don't want to go through the pain or destroy their body. Some would prefer.
I remember the days when women were so looking forward to having kids, but now I'm seeing a lot of them are thinking differently. They think it's gonna mess up their body and all this and that. They think they're just gonna waste away or whatever. That's new to me. That's kind of new to me. I grew up, all the women were loving the playhouse, loving to potentially have kids one day, all that.
Prefer to travel the world without them.
You could do both. You could have kids and travel. No!
But the one thing I can take away from all these examples is that our generation seems to really value our independence and the little freedom we may have. So you can just imagine what it would look like when it's us who has to be responsible for taking care of someone else.
Oh my gosh, babe, he's been crying for the last 2 hours. I don't know what I should do.
I think you gotta rock him back and forth repeatedly while like patting his back.
No shit, David. Obviously, I'm doing that already. But he keeps pointing at your cereal. I think he wants a bowl of your Reese's Puffs.
My Reese's Puff, that's the last bowl of Reese's Puffs in that box. Tell that nigga to get a job. When you look outside your window, the average life consists of waking up, probably working a job you couldn't give a fuck about, and then rinse and repeating for 50 years. A lot of people also spend their entire life being in some form of debt or living paycheck to paycheck. Technology is deadass on the brink of taking over the entire planet. Some of the most powerful or influential figures are straight just doing some shady things behind the scenes or completely inhumane acts, to a point where we've all just become desensitized to hearing craziness on the news or even the damn internet. Social media continues to distort our perception of reality. I could keep going. And now that I'm looking at it, it all just leads to the same question. If I'm aware of all of this, why the f would I then make the conscious decision to wrap someone into this mess with me? Now, to be fair, they wouldn't really be paying attention.
That's mostly my issue. My biggest issue with having kids right now is, maybe I think it's just because I'm a little bit jaded about the current state of what we're in and just what's going on as far as like our society in this country right now. Because we're making less money and we're having to pay more money for everything. And like, it's really hard just for everybody to provide for themselves already. And even me myself, there's still been people that told me like, oh, you should be married with kids by now. And it's like, well, I ain't. So now where do we go from there? Thanks. It's like, what am I supposed to say to that? Because I'm not just gonna marry any old woman. Like, nah, it's gonna have to be a good connection. We're gonna have to actually be compatible. And even that, like, social gatherings or like just the social battery of our society right now is just quite drained. I'm not opposed to going out and meeting people. I love meeting with people and just being around people. But a lot of people are way more reserved than they used to be. And like I saw some studies show that majority of relationships are started on these online dating profiles. I never really been on those. I've never dated anybody off of any of those, and I never even look at them. So that's out of the bag. And then you go outside, people just so reserved and stuff. They don't even try to get to know you. And I'm not going to push that hard. If you want to act like you ain't trying to get to know me, then, hey, you ain't going to know me. But yeah, things are just real different nowadays. And at this time, I'm more focused on just building my own self up. Because my goal is I want to build myself up and put myself in a position where I'd be able to take care and provide for a family and things like that, and do it without feeling like I want to die every day. I'm real big on quality of life. So it's just a different time right now, and I'm not sure exactly where it's going to end up, but at the end of the day, you know, I'm hopeful for, you know, everything turning out to be good and stuff. I'm not stressing about it. But yeah, it's very different times right now. And I also don't like the idea of bringing kids into just how things are and like as far as schooling goes nowadays, because school is very different than it was when I was a little boy. Like now they probably going there's some schools that have like AI teachers. They just get kids a bunch of iPads and now they got AI teachers. Like I'm not cool with that. No. I saw there was one school that had Satan Day. Like if my school had Satan Day, I'm going up fighting. Going up to the school fighting. And I don't got time to go to jail because I got to be there for my kids. So it's a double-edged sword. But they doing things like that. And just a lot of other ideologies that they're pushing in schools nowadays that I just simply don't agree with. Then I thought, okay, what if we go to homeschooling? Well, homeschooling, it'll be cool as far as I know they're going to know stuff because I'm intellectual, so I'll be able to pass that on to them. They're going to know a lot of things, but they're going to miss out on a huge aspect of, you know, social norms. And I don't want my kids to be antisocial or a bunch of incels or whatever it is. So I would want them to be around other kids. And, you know, there's like programs you could put them in and things like that to get them around other kids. But if they don't have just regular interaction, a lot of times they end up, you know, being a little bit off. And I'm not trying to do that. So there's a lot of factors that come into this. This is something that I've thought about for myself, you know, plenty of times, a lot of the time, actually. And, you know, it's still hard for me to even come up with exactly where I land on this decision. So as of now, for me, it's just not the time yet. But that time may come. And if it doesn't, I'm not going to be mad if I never have kids. Would I love to have kids? That would be great. I really do. I really would like a mini me running around that I could train up to be an even better version of myself. So that would be great. But shoot, what are y'all thoughts on that? What do y'all think about having kids? I'm interested to hear some stuff. Let's have a conversation.
Attention to a majority of this for the beginning of their life. I mean, the first 18 years is pretty much the tutorial phase anyways. But what I'm supposed to tell my young niggas once that runs out and the inevitable reality hits, which is quickly followed with a bunch of questions. When they come ask me why the world is the way it is, or how we went from sticks and stones to paying endless forms of taxes, I won't have answers. As time goes on, I'm noticing for some reason there's this disconnect between Gen Z and the older generations when people say they don't want to have kids. Although it may seem like our generation is completely against the thought of having kids, well, some are, but I can almost guarantee for most people, if the economy or even the damn world wasn't in the current state it's in, people wouldn't be thinking this hard about actually having them. In the past, people used to just have kids once they hit a certain age in their life because that was considered to be one of the final or next steps. It's still somewhat considered that today. Only difference is the world wasn't in the state it was back then, so people could deadass afford to not think and still end up completely fine. I always find it funny when some people in the older generation seem surprised at the younger people for not wanting to have kids young or even at all, as if we didn't see how much they struggled with managing to raise us. I remember this specific morning at one of my old jobs where I overheard a conversation between two of the older ladies, one of which was talking about how expensive it was to put her children through daycare.
Like Zach and Cody recently had to start going to daycare because me and my husband are always at work. And all I can think about is how expensive it is. But like, we have no choice because who is going to take care of the kids?
And at the time, I was the youngest at this job and also had no kids. So obviously I couldn't really relate to anything they were talking about. But the only thing that was going through my head is how much I didn't want to relate to that at all. The thought of bringing people into this world yet struggling to support them ain't sound too appealing whatsoever. But because this was considered a societal norm back in the day, a lot of them genuinely see no issue with it. When you look at artists, athletes, or any people who succeeded in their craft, it's common for a lot of them to drop the Hall of Fame line, they didn't really have a lot of money growing up, which in itself isn't a bad thing. You shouldn't be shunned for your financial circumstances. But it just goes to show how many of us are a byproduct of this exact mentality. One thing I've noticed that's causing this disconnect is that a lot of them didn't have the internet to access as much information like we do, whether it being good or bad. Despite social media.
That's a big difference too, a big factor.
Media being its own form of poison for a bunch of different reasons. There's hella power in being able to connect with a bunch of niggas from all around the world and share perspectives and bounce ideas off of each other. Because a lot of older generations didn't have this, so it's kind of like they just lived within these echo chambers of normalized behaviors that may have not been normal at all. Like having kids too early, or better yet, at a point where you can't really afford them. The old saying goes, just because everyone is able to have kids doesn't mean everyone should. And for some reason, it always be the motherfuckers who are in no position whatsoever to have children who want them the most. I'm sure we all know those people we watched have kids in their late teens or early 20s, and you can't help but feel for that kid because their parent is practically a kid themselves. All in all, our generation is facing a very interesting experience when it comes to the thought of having kids. People are realizing how expensive starting a family actually is. A lot of us are starting to think deeper about the topic rather than just babies are cute. Some of the older generation is looking at us sideways for these thoughts, blah blah blah. There's a reason why the birth rates have hit an all-time low. I mean, you tell me, do you think our generation is opposed to having kids because we still feel like we're kids ourselves? Or are there other factors, we just mask it behind not wanting them? I gotta cut this shit off again, man. I'm starting to sound crazy again, bruh.
Alright. Headphones off. This is a real different time for us at this point. A real different time. Cause just in like my parents' generation, like my mom had me when she was 21 and my dad was 23. And looking back when I was 21, I couldn't even imagine having a kid at that time. And I was doing pretty good. But even then, it was just like having a kid, I wouldn't have been able to accomplish nearly any of the things that I did. I mean, I ain't gonna say I wouldn't have been able to. It just would have been a very different and most likely more difficult experience. But yeah, nowadays, like I think about things like how kids, a lot of the younger generation, they'll say that they got like their first cell phone or first iPad at like 6 years old. I couldn't imagine that. If I have kids, I wouldn't want them to have any of that stuff till like 16. But how easy is that going to be? Because they're going to be at school. They'll be the kid without an iPhone or an iPad. Now they're getting teased for it. So now, do you want your kid to be getting teased for being the oddball out? Or do you want to just get it to them so they're able to have friends, essentially, and not get teased? But now you do that, you instantly introducing your kid to all of the world that fast. And I remember back when I was young and I had like a PSP that could go online, and that was a whole new thing. And I was definitely in the darker parts of the internet already, and it was bad enough. But now you'll have kids that hop into chat rooms, you'll have grown people in their DMs, all types of craziness. There wasn't none of that when I was growing up with the internet. I still remember dial-up connections where you couldn't even use the landline phone if somebody was on the internet. I remember those days. I remember cassette tapes. Y'all probably don't even remember that. Well, some of y'all do. But times is just different now. And that on top of the financial issues that's going on, we're literally in a financial crisis right now. So there's a lot of factors that make it hard to have kids. Sure, it'll be fun and it'll be nice to have a kid, but until I figure out my situation, I don't want to bring somebody else into a situation I have yet to figure out. Feel me? And that's just keeping it a buck. So it's a lot of factors going into it. Really, the way I see it is like it's either get rich or don't have kids. Because I see way too many struggles with people that ain't rich that got kids. And I'm not trying to be in that position. So luckily for me, like as a man, I got time. So that's cool. I'm not rushing it at all, but it is something to consider. It's a big thing to consider. And ideally, I would like to have, enough financial stability to where both the parents can be in the kid's life for the majority of the time. We don't got to send them off to daycares all the time. If I find a good school, I'll be down to send them to school. Gotta look into their curriculums, look into how they teach, all that type of stuff, and find the right one that works for me. And then, yeah, I think it would just be best if I could stay in my kid's life as much as possible. So that's really my thoughts with having kids and why it looks like Gen Z just isn't having kids right now. Honestly, from the moment I saw the title of this video, I wasn't necessarily surprised. Like, I'm not surprised that the birthing rates are going down. I'm not surprised at all. It's just a different time. And I don't think it means that, you know, the human race is gonna go extinct sooner or whatever, because there's still plenty of people having kids. A lot by accident, but still plenty of people having kids. But yeah, I'd say don't rush it. Do not rush it. Don't bring a whole person into this world and you're not ready to do that and dedicate a huge, if not most, of your life to making sure that that kid's life is good. Because you don't want to bring your kid into no BS, that's for sure. But yeah, what do y'all think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. You got kids? Do you want kids? Do you not want kids? What are your thoughts? Especially if you Gen Z. I'm trying to hear your point of view because I'm not Gen Z. So yeah, it's real interesting. Good topic. Hop in the comments and let's chop it up. But with that being said, that's going to be the end of the video, y'all. If you need some beats, you know where to go. Case the Producer. And that's all we got for today. Thank you for tuning in so much. It really helps. Like, comment, subscribe. And with that, stay blessed. Peace out, y'all.